Of course I was aware. Everybody was aware. You couldn't not be aware. I once was in the room when they called in the name and the name got blacklisted. And it was connected with the show I was doing, and it was somebody who'd come up to do an audition with us and was doing us a favor. And they called in and they said, we can't have that. And she had a name and we didn't. And they forgot that I wasn't part of the furniture, you know, because I've been around so much. And I didn't tell her, I didn't tell anyone.
You mean that typically you wouldn't have been part of those decisions or processes, but in this case you happen to be?
I've never been part of the process. I never signed a loyalty oath anywhere but a fashion magazine, which really must have gone out of its head. I don't know what they wanted.
Really? One of the fashion magazines
Yep.
you wrote for required a loyalty
I
oath?
don't remember which one, but it wasn't Harper's Bazaar, where I did work. Maybe it was Mademoiselle, but I'm not sure enough. A loyalty oath was that's what made me call Theater Arts and say, can I please come to work there?
Huh.
Where I won't be asked for a loyalty oath.
Do you remember who that actress or what that project was? Were you?
Yes.
Can you say? Or?
I don't know. The family's still around. It's an honorable family. I don't know what we'll gain by my saying or not saying.
I think most people who are blacklisted probably wear it as a badge of honor now.
Okay. Susan Reed.
Okay.
She was a folk singer. She came and did the opening and the finishing song for us. I knew her mother, I knew her father through the Theater Guild, and their brother does a lot of commercials and is still much around.
And which script would that have been for?
Brucey and Willie.
Okay. Did you have other encounters with the blacklist where you were made aware of it?
No. Except the lottery. Al McCleary panicked at one point. He said they finally read this upstairs, and they want you to write in the speech about how if you throw the rock of prejudice at somebody, it may come back and hit you. And I said, what rock of prejudice? You know, there is none. And that ended. I didn't do it, and they didn't pursue it. But it was a sustaining show, and I don't think they really clued in to what it was saying until it was too late.
So was the lottery about McCarthyism for you and for McCleary?
For me?
Uh-huh.
It was about lynching. We toured it, the touring players toured it all over the South at black colleges. And I was asked at Dillard, which is a black college in New Orleans, what's this story about? I said, the woman that wrote it would not say. They got 400 letters at the magazine, and she declined to say. It was apparently an allegory.
Were you ever worried that you might be a victim of it or affected by it?
Yeah, well, I wasn't worried, but there was, while I was working at Harper's Bazaar, somebody in the art department said to me, because I suggested that we use some black artist, Marian Anderson or somebody, on the cover, and everybody, there was a big hush, and then somebody pulled me aside and said, Hearst never uses black people. I said, I think that's terrible, and went on about my business. And the art department persons came up and said, I thought that you'd be a fascist. I said, why? She said, because of the way you talk. I changed the way I talk. And what they used to call Locust Valley Lock. And so she said, then if you'd like to come, I'm going to a political meeting this week about literature. So I said, sure. So I went. And there were two organizations. One was PAC and one was PCA. One was Wallace and one was Mrs. Roosevelt. And they were both alternatives to voting for Truman, who I did vote for. That was my first vote. And so I went to this meeting and had a couple of martinis, and they were all talking about how we would give a prize for a non-escapist novel. And I thought, what's a non-escapist novel? And I said something square like, where would that put Gone with the Wind? Well, they told me, out. In the meantime, I'd had lunch with my mother, who said, if you're going to this thing, don't sign anything, which I did remember. And they gave me a card, and I went over to this desk, and I was going to sign it. And even though she told me that, or maybe because she told me that, I didn't understand what it was all about, and I certainly didn't understand why we were all gathering to give a prize for a non-messagey novel, or a whatever, non-escapist. It would be a messagey novel. And so this man came in a trench coat and to speak to us, to address us. And he was addressing, was either the PCA or the PAC, I've now forgotten which was which. But I do remember that his opening salvo was to attack Mrs. Roosevelt. Finished. That ended it for me. I didn't give a damn what their book was or what they wanted. I didn't sign the paper, and I left. If I had signed that paper, I'd have been blacklisted. That was one of the groups that it was insane, blacklisting. That was one of the groups, if you voted for Wallace that year and you got caught doing it, finished.
I mean, did people who worked in television in the 50s, did they talk about the blacklist a lot, or was it something that was kind of secret?
All of us did, to each other. You know, I knew a lot of actors. I knew a lot of performers. All my friends, we were all liberal, and we were all very stirred up about it. And I went to a rally for Walter when he was blacklisted with my agent, with Flora.
Walter Bernstein.
Yep. I signed in. I don't know what happened about that one.
Other than Bernstein, did you have friends who were blacklisted?
No, I don't think so.
I
knew a couple of, I met a man who was going to jail and he was a communist. And he was writing for the Daily Worker or something. And we went, the night before he went to jail, we went out and talked and talked and talked. But other than that, I didn't really know any, you know. A lot of people were very left without being blacklisted. I can't remember. You know, some people got a whole lot of trouble.